So, let's go to personality.
Um,
There's a lot to talk about here. They're
They're
negative
actually
4 charisma.
they're gentle giants, and they like to go and mini golf with their masters. They love to sit down and watch like the magical orb. Watch I don't know.
They're like the Iron Giant.
Yeah. They're literally like mini Iron Giant.
Right. No, not actually. Iron Giant has like a million, so much more personality than a shield
Actually,
guardian
Iron Giant, he's literally like alive. Yeah, no. If you expected this guy to have personality, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
it's a robot.
This episode is going to be bottom heavy, I suppose, because when we're talking about personality and motivations and stuff, I mean it's not. It doesn't have a mind of its own. It takes commands and fulfills them.
Imagine if it did.
Right. We can imagine. But there are a few things we can talk about when it comes to personality. And so, in general, we can say that this thing is mindless. And so when we are talking about their personality, which we're about to do, what we're really talking about is how they're programmed to act. Which, which isn't a huge difference. You could say humans are programmed by their evolution or something, but in a pragmatic sense, they are just like machines fulfilling a task. So personality isn't quite the right question. How are they programmed? That's really what we're answering.
I kind of envision these guys kind of programmed. Do you remember like the little arm that Tony Stark has? The little robotic claw. That's what I kind of imagine.
Well, that honestly had personality to it, right?
Did it though?
Yeah.
All it did was just move. Just keeps moving.
Well, you can imagine things like that, or like Wall-E, or even the Iron Giant, where we know it doesn't have a brain. It is programmed. It's just programmed so complexly that it does seem to have a personality. But I would say that.
But could you give it personality?
Maybe with a powerful enough mage or creator of a shield guardian, it could be done to give it personality. But I'd say in general, what we're dealing with is a creature that is programmed not to have personality. It's just there to be the bodyguard, outside of like the club. It's got a straight face on, and it's just like, nope, you're not coming in.
I literally imagine a shield guardian with a tuxedo with shades on, just saying no to like goblins or like something random, just like no. Actually, it can't talk. It'll just put its hand out, and if you try to pursue, it'll just flick you, and then you'll just go flying.
Yeah, and so that's kind of what we can say about personality. If we're going to say personality, a shield guardian, basically in its stance and in its actions, is like a stern protector. If it's standing next to a mage, it's going to stand there intimidatingly and be like, I'm here to protect. Don't mess with me, right? Yeah. So it's got its chest puffed. That's kind of the person. That's the vibe. Peacock. That's the vibe it's giving off.
I mean,
like a peacock.
I guess a peacock that could beat you up pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like Rocky Balboa peacock.
Right. But here's an interesting thing I think we can talk about in the personality section. So, as we mentioned in the stat block section, they can be damaged
mentally.
They can take psychic damage. So what does that mean? I have a theory, but what do you think?
I mean, does it kind of... Well, because I kind of feel like you're linked to, like... So when you do psychic damage, you're actually not harming it. You're harming, like, the master? Sort of? Kind of like with the amulet. Because the master has to tell the shield guardian to do commands and to do things. So when you do psychic damage, it kind of, like, messes with its, like, connection with the master. That's what I kind of think.
That makes sense.
Or it's just shield guardians actually have a personality, but doesn't want to show it, and it just gets sad.
I would say I'll go with the first option more. I'm thinking that shield guardians, and the way they work, is the magic is somehow extending the amulet's wearer's consciousness onto the shield guardian. And so, in a way, the damage is hurting whatever consciousness has been imparted to it.
But so would you theoretically hurt the master?
I would say, so this isn't. I don't know. Maybe it's like when the magic is created, the master is kind of inadvertently, not just like they can, like what's the word? Store. Just like they can store a spell, maybe they can also store some of their consciousness into it. And so that consciousness keeps it running. And if you damage that consciousness, you're damaging the structural integrity, or should I say the mental integrity of this.
So kind of like it's like memory
construct.
card, I guess. I guess you're kind of like frying it, you know?
Yeah.
Kind of like
You're filling its storage, but like by just decreasing it. You're decreasing its storage capacity. And if you get that to 0, then
he gets so mad. He's like, God dang, I gotta go back to Golden Apple again. You know, I gotta get another hard drive. These freaking adventures keep ruining my memory drive.
Right, and maybe like the mental strength of the wearer could affect the strength of the shield.
That would be cool. Like honestly, like a whole thing about D&D is like you should, you know, like you can add it to stuff. So like if you do mental damage to the shield guardian, maybe like you don't do damage to it, but you do it to the master.
That could be one way of doing
that.
it.
That would be kind of cool.
I would say, in the end, this is probably just honestly a mistake. I think shield guardians should probably just be immune to psychic damage.
Yeah,
because their purpose is just to be this animated shield. Like they're not meant to have some sort of like mental component to them. So really, I just don't think they should.
Or like, is it just because like psychic damage is all about just literally like breaking our minds, and our minds are kind of like machines.
But if you don't have a mind, it shouldn't be breaking anything.
But like our brains are kind of like machines, and it has like wires and stuff. Maybe just psychic damage is stuff being unplugged. You know, like you know, like a little like psychic hand comes in our brain, starts unplugging stuff or like just ripping stuff apart.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what's going on with the shield guardian, you know?
Because, I mean, neurons in the mind are like energy, right? Action potentials, fire.
So maybe it's blockage.
And so magic might be that, and might be a substitute for that energy of the neurons. And so you can damage those, I guess. But we're speculating here.
Yeah.
In essence, they don't really have a personality other than I'm tough, don't mess with this guy or woman.
Or kid. Or dog.
Sure.
Or rock.
Anything, it's true. Animal wearing the amulet. Anyway,
what happens if you put him to something random? Just like a statue. Or just sit there with the statue and just like... kind of like the moss.
Yeah, I don't think... If something can't give orders or doesn't, it doesn't matter. Because
it just stands... Well, like imagine if someone like, took it off
like,
and placed it on the ground. Like, does it just turn off or does it just sit next to the...
Oh, you're saying if you put it on like a statue, would it guard the statue?
Yeah.
Inherently. That's a good question. And I would probably guess no.
It would probably turn off, I feel like.
Yeah, I think it has to be on some sentient thing that has consciousness. So, but maybe, hey, go for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so personality. We actually talked more about personality there than I was expecting we could. But let's go to motivations. This one is bound to be short.
It does whatever the master wants it to.
Period.
Kind of the gist. I mean, that is literally it. So
if
whatever the master wants
to do something, it does that more. That's all it will want to do. Its motivation is to fulfill its orders. That is it. Nothing else can convince it otherwise.
So bards, you can't seduce them. You can't change their minds.
Yeah, and you can't be like, wait. No, it's doing it.
Dead. No mercy.
Yeah, you're dead.
Just like right before you speak. No, wait, just black. You're gone.
Yeah, it has no empathy.
No mercy.
It is the Terminator, right? You can't negotiate. I mean, honestly, it's even more of like the Terminator than the Terminator itself. Because the Terminator seems
it actually does a better job at being a Terminator than the Terminator.
Of course, it isn't as, muscular as Arnold.
Well, hey, maybe they could put some magic where it's like, hey, why is there this big, ripped, naked orc guy just walking around?
Well, now we're getting into, like, flesh golems or something. This is a shield guardian.
Kind of weird. They're not the same.
They're not the same.
They're Frankenstein.
But, yeah, motivations...
The same thing as the master. If the master wants a cheeseburger, the shield guardian wants a cheeseburger. Unless the master says...
wants to get the master a cheeseburger. Maybe. Or should we say a mutton... It's gotta be some, like, medieval thing. Like...
But what if...
They have burgers. Well, I mean, technically you could ground something up. But...
Well, but what if the master's like, I want you to have a cheeseburger, shield guardian? Do you think I would just pick it up and just smear it on its face?
Probably. But
be
that would just be the same motivation of fulfilling the master's wishes. Okay. So motivations.
Only what the master wants.
What the master wants.
What the master wants.
Period. All right.